This is a video tutorial on how to create an animated GIF from your various contour drawings. So I'm going to start in ArtRage and I'm going to go up to File, Open Painting, and I'm going to go to my contour drawing folder, and I'm actually going to start with my blind contour shoe drawings because that was the first things that we drew. And over here you'll see that I have all these layers with my contour. This one looks like it's empty, so I think I'm just going to throw this one in the garbage. But the other ones I have, it's kind of fun when you turn them all on at once too. But one of the cool things about ArtRage is that you can actually export as a Photoshop file. So I'm going to go up to File, I'm going to say Export Image File like we've done in the past, and instead of the file format being JPEG, I'm going to select Photoshop, PSD, and make sure I put it in my here. So reason I'm doing this is it'll actually preserve my layers. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do the same thing for my chair, my blind contour chair. So I have a blank one that I don't need, and then I've got these other layers. Okay, so then I'm going to go File, Export Image File, and this time it should default to Photoshop because that's what I did last, so I'm going to hit Save. And then the final one, I'm going to go up to File, Open Painting, and I'm going to make sure I get my non-blind contour of my chair. Okay, so then I'm going to go up to File, Export Image, and I can also make this a Photoshop. Even though it doesn't have multiple layers, I can still do it that way. So I'm going to do that. Once I've exported everything, I'm going to go into Photoshop, and I'm going to go File and then Open. And I'm going to go into my Contour Drawings folder, and I'm going to start again with my blind contour shoe.psd. Click Open. And you'll notice that on my right side where my layers are, I have all of my shoe drawings. And then there's a paper layer that has just the white on it, which is fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go File, Open, and I'm going to open the chair. Now I can easily drag one layer at a time over to my other file. So what I'm going to do is just turn on this first one, grab my Move tool, and then drag and drop. So I'm going to hover over this tab, and then I'm going to drop it here. And what it does is it actually brings all the layers with me, which is really fantastic. So now I've got all my chair ones and my shoe ones all in the same document. The final thing I'm going to do is go up to File, Open, and I'm going to get my final drawing of my chair. And then I'm just going to use my Move tool and drag it over here and drop it here. This is again on the original one that I did. This one's a bit of a different size, so I'm going to need to scale this down. In order to do that, I'm going to do Command T. And up here I can click this little lock, and then I can make it like whatever size I want. I'm going to try making it smaller so it fits. It looks like I need to go smaller even, maybe even 25. Now I can just grab it by the corner and drag it if I want to here. So that allows me to show the one without the, that's actually looking at the chair. Okay, now you're going to go up to your window button at the top in Photoshop, and you're going to go to something called the timeline. So the timeline is a way to make animation in Photoshop. So it might say Create Video Timeline, and if you see this arrow here, you can say Create Frame Animation. And that's what we want. So I'm going to click Create Frame Animation. And the way we're basically going to do this is we're going to turn on one layer at a time. So I'm going to click here. And I want you to notice when I did that, it showed up over here. And right now it says 0 seconds. In this case, we don't need it to play back right one after the other. We want to give people just like a minute to soak in, not a minute, a few seconds to soak in each image. So we might have to play with the timing on this. I'm going to say 0.5 for now. Let's see what happens. Now what I want to do is make a new frame, by clicking, it says duplicate selected frames. It looks a lot like the new layer button, but it's on your timeline. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to turn off this layer, and I'm going to turn on this layer. Now I have, if I click back, I can see that I have a different one, and then I go here, and it's changing. And so I'm going to make another duplicate frame, and I'm going to click the eyeball on this one, and just go up to the next layer. And you can see this process is pretty simple. Make another duplicate, and there's another one. And now we're at the chair. If you have a final contour drawing of your shoe, it'd be great to have that in here, the one with that it's not blind, so people can see what you were doing. But even if you don't, I think it's totally fine, and you can just continue on with doing your chair, which is what I'm going to do here. So you can see I'm just repeating that process over and over. I'm duplicating, and then I'm hiding the previous layer, showing the next layer, and then finally I reached my last one here. So I have 10 frames total here. You might have a little bit less or a little bit more. Now I can actually watch this play back. So that is what it looks like when it plays back. Now, it'd be nice if it looped, because right now it only plays through once. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to save forever, so it'll keep looping. I like how it does that. I'm actually, I think on the last frame, I'm going to pause it for a little bit longer so people can look at the more final contour drawing. And I'll start here again and just play it back. So there's a little bit longer of a pause there. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is go up to File, Save As, and this is going to be my contour animated GIF file, and it's still a Photoshop file. I want to keep all those layers. Maximize compatibility, that's fine, hit OK. And the final step to making this an animated GIF is to go up to File, and you're going to click something called Save for Web. Okay, so when you save for web, what it's going to do is it's automatically, if it's in a GIF format, it can recognize an animation. And notice that it's actually picking up the animation here. So I'm going to zoom out here a little bit so we can see. And then I'm going to go back to the beginning, back the frames, okay, and then I'm just going to watch it here. Okay, looks good. So that's all I have to do. I don't need to change any of these other settings. I'm going to hit save. And notice that it says contour animated GIF .gif. And that is really important, that .gif. You can't just type that in. It has to be done by doing save for web in order to get the animation. So I'm going to hit save. And then I can just hide Photoshop for a moment. I'm going to go in here, and if I double click on my GIF file that I just saved, it's going to open in preview. Now preview doesn't really play animated GIFs, so what it'll show you is each slide of the GIF rather. So if you want to watch it animate, you need to drag it to a web browser like Chrome. I might just actually make a new, oh, there it goes. Alright, so it's animating in the browser, that's what I wanted. So this shows your artistic process, and you're going to actually turn in this final contour animated GIF file into the album that I share with you. And that is all. If you have any questions, let me know.